Okay, so this is how checking out a quarantine works, at least how it worked for me. The morning of, I had to call down to the hotel and let them know I was ready to leave. They then alerted their security guard on the floor. And by the way, in previous videos, I'd made the mistake of saying it was police people guarding the floors. It's actually private security guards managed by police. But anyway, the security guards came and got me when I walked out the room. Because I'd only ever been into that room once, I couldn't remember if I had to turn left or right, so I kind of got a bit lost. But eventually the security guard found me, and they took me down. There were two of them, so one stayed on the floor, and then the other one took me down to the floor where the police are stationed, and I did my checkout paperwork. I'd also organized the cab from the night before, and by the way, it has to be a special kind of cab. It has to be what they call here in Australia, or at least in Sydney, a maxi cab or maxi taxi or whatever. It's basically a taxi that has the perspex divided between the driver and the passenger, or at least a plastic one. And you have to, of course, wear your mask. Once I left the room, I had to wear my mask the whole time. So once I checked out of the police, they took me down the service elevator to the basement, where I left the hotel. You're not allowed to go to the hotel foyer or anything like that. You go into the basement and then out where you're on the street, and that's where all the quarantine people have to wait for their taxis. The taxi came immediately, and I got into the taxi. But before I did that, I'd have been previously warned about this. You have to take a picture of the taxi, the number plate, and the taxi, and you and the hotel all have to be in the picture somehow. And then once you get to the airport, you have to do the same. You have to take a picture of the taxi, you, and the airport, all kind of in the same picture. And of course, those are timestamps, so that's how they contact trace. And that way, from the timestamps on the photos, they can prove that, or you at least can prove that you went straight from the hotel to the airport and did not stop at a bar along the way to have a little bit of a party. So once I got into the airport, again, still wearing the mask all the time, even though most other people weren't, I went straight, checked in, straight to the desk, and then just sat down and waited by the gate. Even though I really wanted to go and have a beer at a bar or something, you know, because it's the first time I was around people for a while. Once I landed at the Gold Coast Airport in Queensland, which is just a regional airport, so usually you just walk right through, and there's no border control. They do now have border control set up, and the border control processed me. They wanted to see my paperwork from quarantine. They wanted to see my passport and my permission to enter Queensland, which I mentioned in the other video I'd got the night before, or a few days before. And once they didn't actually ask for any of the pictures of the taxi or anything like that, but I understand sometimes they do. And they wanted my phone number, my local phone number. And once they had that, I was through, and I was basically a free man. I must say, it's absolutely surreal being here. There's no mask wearing, no social distancing. This is just like life was before COVID. And as you've probably heard, in Brisbane they had one single case and the city went into lockdown. Last night they discovered another case, and now they're considering lockdown again. So yeah, I mean, it's some strict stuff, and a lot of my American friends don't understand and can't sort of comprehend that kind of strictness and information relinquishing and all this for contact tracing, the stuff that's necessary for contact tracing. I don't know, man. For me, this is worth it. People are living kind of like normal. Their economy is, you know, taking a bit of a hit, but it's not like America. These people are still working and going about life as usual. Just take a look at this footage here. This is just yesterday, walking along a couple of restaurants here. I mean, this is life as usual, and this is what you get if you are willing to go through all those strict procedures and standards. So yeah, this is quarantine and a life in Queensland at the moment. And it does not suck. I have a visitor. Oh, and someone asked about payment. You can pay at the end, or you can set up a payment plan. You know, they're really not crazy about it. They are very willing to work with you on it. So, you know, don't stress about that. So yeah, to quarantine or not to quarantine, I have to say, as much as you have to give up for it, I really quite enjoyed it. It's something I don't think I'll forget in my life. It was an interesting, unique experience, and it wasn't bad at all. I mean, really, I got a chance to just spend some time with myself and meditate and do some yoga and did a bunch of work. I really did not mind it one bit, so don't be afraid. If you have to quarantine, you can make the most of it, and it actually can be a somewhat enjoyable experience.